Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a little bit different than my usual video. I think I've only done about one book review on my channel before. I'm honestly not a big reader, but I felt very moved and compelled to do a little video about My Story by Elizabeth Smart. So before we get started, I just want to give a trigger warning that there is mention of sexual abuse and abuse of a minor, some heavy stuff, but it's not going to be like gory details or anything. But yes, let's go ahead and get started. So as mentioned, I'm not the biggest reader. It's not that I don't want to be. I think I just have a hard time finding the books that draw me in. I'll give a little backstory, I guess. So Elizabeth Smart made like national headlines back in the early 2000s when she went missing and was kidnapped. She was 14 years old and it happened in 2002. I believe I was 8 years old at the time, so I was actually younger than her. Somehow I remember this though. Social media wasn't a thing, or if it was like very limited, and I wasn't on it. So I have like specific memories of just like the magazines and the grocery stores. She was found and brought home after 9 months. I remember, I think, a picture of her with the white like headdress on from like literally the Wegmans checkout line, and that when you're like little, that type of picture like kind of sticks with you. Now as an adult, I can't even quite remember what it was that made me want to go back. I think it's because I did remember it. I was like, wait, I want to read this and I want to see like what actually happened. I went ahead and ordered My Story by Elizabeth Smart on Amazon, and I actually got it kind of to read on the train to New York City from Buffalo. It's like an 8-hour train ride. I did start it on the train. Once I got into the book, it was very captivating. Like, I was very sucked in, and it was, I was reading it every single day, multiple chapters. So this is a 41 or 42 chapter book. So each chapter is kind of like short to medium, right to the point. I have no complaints about that. I think it helps for an easier read.
Hello?
I knew that Elizabeth had been taken from her bedroom at knife point, and like when you think about it, it sounds so unbelievable. It sounds like literally like a movie or something. So it's really crazy when you start to like fathom like that this actually did happen to her. I knew some of the details starting the book, but I was not prepared at all. It's very heavy. Like, I was not prepared. I just remember being on the train and being like, after I finished a chapter, just like shutting it and like taking a break from it, because it's a lot to take in. And some of the details are just very hard hitting. Like, Elizabeth was sexually abused on a daily basis. So one of the main things that stuck out to me was that Elizabeth was prepubescent when she was kidnapped. Her body was not fully developed yet. She had not even hit puberty. Regardless of that, she would have still been a child, but it's just especially daunting to think about the fact of like how innocent and young she was still when this happened to her. Not only the sexual abuse, but Elizabeth was just forced to do physically exhausting things, hiking up mountains. She was stripped of basic human day-to-day things that we take for granted, like, you know, a warm shower, food, water. There's a lot of talk about getting dehydrated, just going thirsty, and literally in like the desert, starving, no food for days and days on end. There's also a very spiritual side to this book. Elizabeth is from a Mormon family. She was Mormon. Now, her captor specifically targeted somebody Mormon. To go to the fact that he was specifically looking for someone from this background, and he like went and got her, just really like bothers me. But because she was targeted because of, I guess, her religious beliefs. So Elizabeth has this real raw relationship with God, and she's trapped with these two sick people, or not even sick, just evil, because I don't want to like blame it on a sickness. It's just straight evil. She's trapped with these two evil people that are like have some fake like religion, and it's just kind of ironic. She talks so much in this book about remaining hopeful, and that aspect of the book is very uplifting, and just like if she could go through all of this and keep her hope alive and keep her relationship with God, keep praying, keep believing. It's kind of reminds you of like Job in the Bible. She is very inspirational in that way, and that aspect of her story is very heartwarming. So yes, each chapter, it goes in chronological order, kind of going through her time in captivity. You know, she talks about Thanksgiving, Christmas, the seasons changing, and it's very heart-wrenching because she literally spends like major holidays with her captors. She gets also into very much like fear. It changed her mind and her way of thinking, just like living in fear. It's very insightful because I think she might mention this as well. Most people don't feel that type of fear or terrifying feeling in their lifetime. Because Elizabeth really like was gracious enough to share details and stuff about her day-to-day life, kind of gets you to start like thinking of questions, like random things. Like I was thinking like what happened to like her dental health all this time? What if she were to get her period during this time? Like all different things. You just start thinking of every little detail, and you will find yourself getting frustrated at times with this book because there's some really mind-boggling details. Most of Elizabeth's captivity took place just miles from her home. Not only that, but there were several times where searchers came so close to finding her or discovering her, and just didn't happen. And now that I'm like reflecting on the book, I feel like those times where Elizabeth came really close to getting rescued but didn't were kind of like God kind of sending her like a reminder, like you're not forgotten. The worst one was when she was in the library and she was literally approached by a cop who got a call that she may be Elizabeth Smart. By the end of this book, like I said, there's 41 chapters. It was hard to put down, and by the end of it, I found myself just really like loving Elizabeth. I loved who she became and what she did with her life, and her willingness to share, her willingness to advocate, how she put this behind her, her willingness to open up, and her faith. I just really became like engulfed with her, and I was like, I guess you could say like a fan. I was like just wowed by her, kind of like in awe of her. So she did end up getting found 9 months after being captured. Just like that, it was over. So yeah, Elizabeth was rescued. She talks about the trial a little bit. She talks about life. She gives some beautiful, insightful paragraphs about her life after captivity and just like moving forward. She goes into detail about like what she finds joy in, like what helped her see the light and see the beauty in things still. And again, it's just like insightful and inspiring. It's definitely like a survivor story. And just real quick, I want to say that her two captors, Brian David Mitchell, he is in prison and he's to remain there for life. His accomplice, or whatever you want to call it, Wanda Barzi, this is very disturbing, but she was released from prison, I think in like 2018, and according to the internet, she's living in Salt Lake City. And I know I didn't get too into detail about the kidnappers themselves in this little book review. It's a man and a woman, and Elizabeth made it so very clear in her book that the woman never once like helped her, showed compassion to her, nothing like that. She was like cold, hard stone, just like the man. Yeah, just as guilty, I would say. It doesn't exactly sit right. So this is a New York Times bestseller. Elizabeth is now an activist. I follow her on Instagram. Some of the recent things she's been posting about is like consent, how to teach it to our kids and stuff like that. So some of the things it says on the back: the inspirational and ultimately redemptive story of a teenage girl's descent into hell, framed as a parable of faith. Smart tells the abuse and degradation she suffered and of the faith that fueled her determination to survive. It is insane. It's just, she's an incredible survivor. I would call her a hero for my, like, a modern day, like, hero for my generation. Worth the read, absolutely. It will evoke a lot of emotion, and it will also help you kind of put things into perspective for yourself, like being thankful for like what you have. If you have food to eat and a bed to lay in and your family, you know, you have it all. Be happy, be thankful. I'm very happy that I got to experience this book start to finish, and it makes me want to read more and hear more stories of other people, and I definitely recommend it. So My Story by Elizabeth Smart. I know she has other books as well, so that's definitely something to look into. And yeah, if you want something that's gonna
Mom, I read it.
Keep you on the edge of your seat, evoke emotion, and be incredibly inspirational, I would definitely recommend. So thank you guys for listening to me babble. Thank you for watching. If you want to recommend a book, feel free to comment below. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye.